we all know that we can study super hard and, either for fun or for our majors, and sometimes, get frustrated or not get, not get the progress we want in really complicated classes. And so does that mean, we avoid the more challenging courses? Do we kind of take an easier route just so that we can be done, so we don't have to challenge ourselves or suffer with, a professor who seems to be unreasonable? Where do skills match challenges, and what do we do about this? How does learning and studying have to be a chore? Does it have to be something we complain about, or can it be fun, exciting, a joyful process? And so what I'm going to explore is that progress equals joy, but if you combine it with control. And so what does that mean? So the joy is obviously, linked to achievements, rewards, recognition, all that great stuff. And we generally focus on that. We either want, acknowledgement for our efforts, or to feel good about ourselves intrinsically. And generally, both variables are important. As far as control, what does control mean? And so control is what I'm going to explore. The topic of my work is going to be in reference to active learning and learning strategies. Now, all of us have started, we went through K through 12, and we knew that we had a textbook, we had notes. It was, it was a matter of reading, writing a bunch of notes, and taking a test. And so it seemed to be really simple, where you'd search for a bold term, you'd get out a highlighter, and that was it. However, some of you have taken really complicated STEM-related courses, or whether you've decided to major in it, or at least do it for your core requirements. So what happens when you get into one of those classes? We want to explore how we're entering the staircase, and I want you all to visualize the staircase where the bottom level is knowledge, and where those bold terms is you're basically at ground level. You're walking through a garden. It's the lower level thinking. Now you need knowledge to go to the next step, but knowledge consists of those bold terms that you're familiar with. But what comes after knowledge? How do we take it further than that? And so the next step of the staircase is summarizing information. We're doing that right now. We're summarizing things that are important, but you know that when you take a test, a summary isn't enough. A summary at a college level or with higher level education will not get you an A for most part. And so when you're dealing with meaningful work, you want to go beyond the summary, you want to go beyond the facts. And what does that mean? So going beyond the basic facts is considering application, synthesis, analysis. And when we're building, we're comparing, we're putting together different ideas, and we're collaborating. No matter what field you're in, there's an element of interdisciplinary studies. And so whether we're doing it academically or we're doing it in the labs, there is a collaboration. And so in order to create, in order to build and communicate, you need to be at the top of that staircase. And so as we kind of climb up higher, building and piecing information at a more complex level, you'll see that you're going to be able to perform at a higher level of thinking, basically more complex thinking. So what does that mean? We hear a lot about goals and goals being important, and yes, of course, goals are important. And being specific about the goals. But what more is there than goals? Because it seems really abstract and kind of vague. Yes, we all have goals, but how do we take that even further and break it into micro steps? And so we don't only need goals, but we need feedback and tracking and clarity. And so when we have that clarity, we're able to track our progress. We can really see, we can feel ourselves making progress incrementally rather than waiting for a grade, where the progress is kind of crystallized. Moving further into this, I want you guys to visualize what you know without thinking instinctually. So we know that, without looking at a watch, without really needing much feedback, we know that when we wake up in the morning, you want to have breakfast, right? We're all kind of drawn by, feeling hungry, or depending on the time of day. So you don't really need to look at your watch, or you can kind of feel it intuitively. And so in the afternoon, you're going to have lunch, and in the evening, it's time for dinner. How do we pair this same kind of autopilot with other concepts? And so I'm going to suggest you guys, I'm going to suggest you guys pair that with thinking about, the same thing. Before class, you need to prepare, or before an event. In the middle, in order to deeply learn, you would review or go to that event or lecture, and then after that, you would want to summarize. And so that way, you're incrementally distributing your work. Moving on further, the bottom line is that you have to distribute practicing information regardless of what it is, and you need to be able to see that if you can explain it, if you can teach it and recall that information, then you really can deeply know it. And so ultimately, to wrap things up, you want to, that the gamification of information is where we're headed. And so if you think about Super Mario, for example, he's hitting those question marks, those boxes, and either you're getting a mushroom or a star. So, ultimately that, that growth in learning and in thinking is by asking good questions. And so exploring Bloom's taxonomy will help you, look at the staircase of higher level thinking, answer better questions, ask better questions, and therefore you're able to score points and really know that you've reached your goals and you've gotten that feedback. So there's clarity. So that wraps up what I wanted to discuss. And ultimately, your flow in life will be determined when your challenges meet the level of your skills. Thank you.
And question, is that your first time doing a speech?